Yo guys, what's going on? Blossom is back and welcome back to another episode of Talent Drives. Today we are finally going to close out the series of my top 3 best and top 3 worst cars per RQ with the final section of the legendaries where we're going to cover RQ 92 all the way to 99. Why we're not covering any RQ 100s is because there are no packable RQ 100 legendaries, and of course, as per the entire series, we don't count prize cars in here, so only cars that you can get from packs. Before we get into the video, I have one quick announcement. I want to give a quick shout out to Korn. He is the man behind the series. About a month ago, he came to me and said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you made a series where you gave us your opinion on what you thought were the top 3 best cars and top 3 worst per RQ? And here we are today. So thank you to Korn. Let's have some comments down in the comments below, just thanking Korn for this absolutely amazing idea, because obviously I love the series, you guys love the series. So let's end with a bang with the highest RQ cars in the game, which is the second thing I want to talk about. Guys, we are covering some of the best cars in the game. RQ 92 to 99 are basically among some of the best cars in this entire game. So although I'm going to be picking cars that are the worst in their RQ, that doesn't necessarily mean they are bad cars, because at the end of the day, these are some of the cars that are among the best in the game. So you really shouldn't be taking my criticism too hard in this part. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is that the legendary, especially this section, we're covering all the high end. It's a bit of a formality video because we want to end out the series and I want to end it all the way where I cover all the legendaries. However, if this is the first video that you're watching in this series and you're really looking for something, I guess, super educational about the game, where it gives you some really good tips. I mean, I'm going to give you good tips here as well, but something more beneficial, especially when I cover cars that are a lot more packable. If this is the first video that you're watching in this series, I just want to say right now, you watching, okay, please do check out the ultra rares and the rares. Those two are some of my most proudest achievements in the series. I am so proud of those notes. I'm so proud of what I said, and I stand by that. So if you want something super educational, check out the ultra rares, the rares, and of course the super rares, the uncommons, and the epics. Those were all amazing as well, and especially the first part of the legendary section. But without further ado, with that pretty long intro, let's get into it. Top 3 best and top 3 worst. In fact, I'm actually going to be telling you the top 2 best and top 2 worst, because there are some RQs where there aren't even 6 legendaries to choose from. So let's get into it with RQ 92. So in my top 2 RQ 92, the first one I want to talk about is King Donk. King Donk, or the Donkabort DAGTORS, is an absolutely bloody fantastic beast, and it is one of the best all-rounders in the game. I love this, and I'm still kind of shell-shocked that I got this from an unrecorded carbon, which was from my daily login reward. I was not expecting anything of such a caliber, and usually when I think about getting a legend, it's usually me thinking, oh, I'm probably going to get some crappy Lamborghini. But, getting the Donkabort is a huge plus. This is a Blossom Choice Legendary, one of the best in the game. Not only are you having a super low 0 to 60 of 2.6 seconds, a decent top speed of 174, and amazing handling of 93, you are also getting a very lightweight car of under 700 kgs. And just to top it all off, the Donkabort DAGTO has 93 MRA. That is amazing handling, amazing 0 to 60, amazing MRA on a lightweight car. What do you not want from the Donkabort DAGTORS? It also even has performance tires. Now, joining the Donkabort in my top 2 for RQ92s, I'm going to give it to the Pagani Huayra Roadster, one of the best convertible all-rounders in the game. I would say that the Huayra Roadster and the King Donk are really the pinnacle of convertibles in the game. So the Huayra Roadster has an amazing high top speed, right? 227 miles per hour, and I think it's just the best all-round convertible. I would say the Donk although it's a bit of an all-rounder, it's more on the twisty side because of that lightweight and low 0 to 60. The Pagani Huayra, you still get the same handling as the Donkabort, a much higher top speed, and amazing MRA. You get 100 MRA from the Pagani Huayra. But at the end of the day, take your pick. These are some of the best cars in the game. Donkabort DAGTO, Pagani Huayra Roadster, in my opinion, 2 of the best. Also, an honorable mention to the McLaren 720S GT3. 97 handling is insanity, okay? And it also has amazing MRA. MRA. Really, it's a fantastic car. If I was making a top 3, it would be the Huayra, the 720S, and the D8. But one of the main reasons why I'm not going with top 3 is because I cannot make and cannot justify if it saved my life. I couldn't do it. I couldn't point out 3 bottom RQ92s. I just couldn't do it. I mean, there are just so many fantastic cars here. But the bottom 2 that I'm going for are going to be obviously both Lamborghinis, the Lamborghini Gallardo LP570 and the Lamborghini Aventador Roadster. Both of them are pretty atrocious four-wheel drives, which doesn't really have, I guess, jaw-dropping MRA. I mean, when it comes to legendaries, when you have like what, 80, 85 MRA, it's not really that amazing. Yes, if you had 85 MRA on a rare, uncommon, ultra rare even, that would be impressive. But when it comes to legends, you're competing with cars that are able to hit close to 120, 110. So most of these Lambos who kind of are on the high 70s or the low 80s, it's truly just underwhelming for the category that it's in. So at the end of the day, both Lamborghinis are going to be at the bottom of my RQ92 list. That's not to say that they're bad cars, they're just, you know, not as good as the others that are on offer in its RQ. Moving on to RQ93, my top 2, the first one is going to go to the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. This is the best packable all-surface tire car in the game. Full stop. I think that pedigree alone is enough to justify the top spot in the RQ93 ranks. Alongside the Alfa Romeo, I'm going to give it to the Porsche 911 GT2 RS, what I think is the best all-round RQ93 car. It is the best all-rounder with 2.60 to 60, 93 handling, 211 top speed, that's 200 plus, and on top of all of that, it has 91 MRA. So the Porsche 911 GT2 RS is absolutely fantastic. It's not as light as the Donkerport GTO RS, but they do share the same 0 to 60. They do share the same handling, and the Porsche is much higher in top speed. I have to say, even their MRAs are quite similar. 93 on the Donkerport, 91 on the GT2. At the end of the day, both of them are absolutely fantastic cars. Now, at the bottom of my list for RQ93, not 23. The first one's going to go to the Aventador J. Once again, I mean, there are four-wheel drive cars that are performance tires that are able to hit 90 or maybe even over 90, and that's kind of what you want. Example being the Porsche 911 Turbo S. You know, lower 0 to 60 than the Aventador, better handling than the Aventador, a higher top speed than the Aventador. But the thing is, right, I'm pretty sure that the 911 Turbo S actually has worse MRA, but it really doesn't matter because, you know, the four-wheel drive performance tire low ground clearance niche isn't really the first kind of niche that you're gonna go for to put on the drag. Usually you just want drag specialists or just rear wheel drive performance tire legendaries. So unfortunately the Aventador J is kind of in the shadow of the Turbo S, and that's why it's the first one to be in the bottom of my list. Now alongside the Aventador J, I'm gonna give it to the Roof Turbo Florio. So the Aventador and the Roof are going to be at the bottom of my list for RQ93. Once again, the Florio isn't a bad car. It has, you know, good MRA, but when it comes to base stats, it's like the Aventador J, but worse, right? It's slower to 60, it handles a little worse. To be completely honest, for an RQ93 car, 87 handling is pretty atrocious. Like, that is embarrassing. That being said though, I do understand it has a high top speed and good MRA, but at the end of the day, it's just not going to be as useful as the Porsche 911 Turbo S, which is the car that you want to go for. Now, moving on to RQ94, my top 2, the first one is going to go to the McLaren 720S. It has the best base stats. It has a jaw-dropping 0 to 60, it handles well, high top speed, and it has a semi-decent 87 MRA. I would say that that's kind of on the edge of getting to bad, but at the end of the day, that is an amazing 0 to 60, 2.5, and it handles well as well. Joining the McLaren 720S in the top 2 for RQ94, I'm going to give it to the Koenigsegg Regera. Now, the Koenigsegg Regera doesn't have as much high of a top speed as say the Agera RS or the Agera Final or even the Agera R. That being said though, okay, because it doesn't have that high of a top speed, it's not the best test bowl car among other eggs. I mean, against like Lamborghinis or even the 962C, it's still going to be a fantastic testable car nonetheless, because with that 2.70 to 60 and that amazing handling, the Koenigsegg Regera also has an MRA of 117, which is absolutely amazing. One of the best in the game, and it has to be on my top 2 list. Now, in the bottom, I'm going to give it to the Audi R8 Coupe, or the Audi R8 Coupe. Unfortunately, 83 MRA is just not very good. And the 88 handling, once again, we've seen four-wheel drive performance tire cars that are able to hit the 90s, so 88 is a pretty far stretch. And I mean, even though it has a pretty amazing 0 to 60 for a four-wheel drive performance tire car, it doesn't have MRA. 83, not good enough. Joining the Audi R8 is going to be the Huracan Coupe. Now, it's not the best, it's not the worst car. It's also not the best, far from the best, but it's not the worst, right? It has 95 MRA, which is good, but the main problem here is that it's kind of outshined by the Roof RT12, right? The Roof RT12 has, a much lower 0 to 60. This is 3.1. The Roof RT12 is 3.0. So, okay, not much lower, sorry, 0.1. But they do share the same MRA. So at the end of the day, you're better off with the Roof. I know that this handles better than the Roof, but at the end of the day, the Huracan Coupe, you're not really going to use it as much. And when it comes to a twisty setting, if you had to use a four-wheel drive car in the twisty setting, you are better off with the Aventador Coupe 2.8 89, or I would think the best option for the four-wheel drive performance low ground clearance niche for a twisty setting, the 911 Turbo S with 2.6 90. Now, we move on to RQ95. My top 2, first one's going to go to the Porsche 962C. I mean, this thing is like, it's a prize car. It's basically a packable prize car. I'm surprised that the 962C isn't the prize car, but the 787B is, or I don't know, the 905B is. The 962C is up there. I mean, I think it's almost on par with the 787B. The 962C is a fantastic car, right? It's lightweight. It weighs under 1,000 kgs, 900 kgs, high top speed, low 0 to 60, handles incredibly well, and it has an MRA of 105. Everybody knows this already. The 962 has always been a staple and has always been among one of the entire best cars in the entire game. And the last one I'm going to give it to is the Koenigsegg Regera Final. This is basically a Regera, but better, 116 MRA, and it has an incredibly high top speed. The only Koenigseggs that are going to be able to beat the Regera Final would be the 1.1, the Jesko, and the Jesko Absolute. To be completely honest, this is the best packable Koenigsegg, the best packable around the world car, the best packable Swedish car. This thing is absolutely fantastic. 2.70 to 60, 93 handling, 280 top speed, absolutely bonkers. Now, let's talk about the bottom of my list for the worst RQ95s. The first one is going to go to the Aventador SV Roadster. Once again, man, I mean, I always think about that Porsche. I get it, that Porsche 911 Turbo doesn't have MRA, but 2.690, when it comes to a twisty setting, I'm going to be choosing that Porsche through and through. This is 2889. It pales in comparison to the Porsche's 2690. And alongside that is going to be the Huracan Performante Spider. The Huracan Performante Spider, the notes that I have in this is I just rather use the Aventador S, right? The Aventador S right here, it has a 0.2 difference in going to 60. Now, I have to say, the Lamborghini Huracan Performante Spider is still a great car. It has 93.4 MRA, and that's why I was a bit skeptical on making this video, because at the end of the day, it feels wrong to say that any of these cars are actually the worst, right? But to be completely factual, they are the worst RQ95s, but that doesn't make them bad cars. And like I said, this video is a bit of a formality just to finish out all the RQs in the game. Obviously, I didn't do commons, but who cares? I don't even know about commons. So yeah, it has great MRA. Great MRA, high top speed, handles, well, 90. I mean, it is a good car, but unfortunately, there are other cars that I would rather use. And if it was a convertible setting, once again, I would use the Donkavort, or I would use the Bugatti Huayra. I guess you can say that this is the best convertible four-wheel drive performance tire car in the game, and I wouldn't argue. It's a good car, but when you compare it to the Zonda and the 962 and I don't know, the Regera Final, it just, I can, man. I guess maybe you can say that the Roof RT12, but then this is a car that also has amazing MRA, and it has a lower 0 to 60 to the Huracan. So if you put the Roof and the Lambo in a drag setting, you're gonna have the Roof winning it anyway. So although it has no MRA, at least it knows what it wants to be, which is a drag car. So at the end of the day, I had to give it to the Huracan. Now, moving on to RQ 96 to 99, there really isn't enough material here for me to even make a list of top 2 best and top 2 worst. So unfortunately, I'm just going to rank it right now. So from RQ 96 to 99, there are 8 cars, and I'm just going to rank them from 8 to 1. So coming in last place, I'm going to give it to the 2010 CX-75. 0 to 60 just isn't as good as all the other cars. I mean, it feels wrong to judge it, man, because yeah, the 0 to 60 isn't as good, but the RQ isn't nearly the same. I mean, 96, and I mean, the Centenario is 98, but you know, I only have 8 cars to work with, so I'm just going to rank them. At the bottom is the CX-75. 0 to 60 is pretty weak. Handling is good though, and the MRA on this is absolutely fantastic. In 7th place, I'm giving it to the Aventador SV, just because if you had the CX-75 and the Aventador in a twisty setting, you're going to be going with the Aventador. And if you needed a 4-wheel drive coupe for a fast setting, you're rather off making using the Bugattis, right? So the Aventador SV comes in 7th place because, I mean, the 0 to 60 difference, it's night and day. 3.3 to 2.7, that's a 0.6 second difference. It's insanity, and they both handle the same. Coming in 6th place is the 2013 CX-75. This thing has amazing MRA though, 108 MRA, low 0 to 60, sub 3 seconds, 90 handling. It's a great car. In 5th place is going to be the Bugatti Veyron 16.4, 101 MRA. The only thing bad about the 16.4 is it's the worst of the packable big Lamborghinis, not counting the EBs. Now, in 4th place, I'm going to give it to the Centenario. Fantastic car, 107 MRA, low 0 to 60, handles amazingly well. And if I remember, oh, okay, I thought it was a lightweight car. It isn't really a lightweight car. Now, coming in 3rd place is going to be the Veyron Super Sport, 107 MRA, super low 0 to 60, super high top speed. But I have to say, it is a bit threatened by the Koenigsegg's, and it doesn't handle as well as the Koenigsegg's. But of course, it is a 4-wheel drive car, but it is incredibly heavy. But like I said, these are drag specialists. And then in 2nd place is the Rimac Concept 1, same 0 to 60 as the Super Sport, but slightly better MRA of 115, 90 handling. So once again, same as the Bugatti Veyron, not as high of a top speed, but I'd rather go with the Rimac over the Super Sport, to be completely honest. And of course, in 1st place is the Bugatti Chiron. You are getting a absolutely fantastic beast, 117 MRA, 90 plus handling, 2.40 to 60, 261 top speed. I mean, it's really hard not to say that this is the best packable car in the game. I guess you can argue King Donk is also one of the best packable cars in the game, or the Koenigsegg Agera Final, but the Bugatti Chiron is the king of the crop, especially in terms of RQ, as it is the only one that is RQ 99. Well, that's it. That's the series. It's done. Like I said, once again, it's the 3rd time I'm saying it in this video before I get judged like super hard in the comments. This video was a bit of a formality. I wanted to close out the series with, you know, the best of the best cars. At the end of the day, you know, if I have a car that's in the best or the car in the worst, you know, these are among some of the best cars in the game. Keep all of them, please. Keep all of them. They are going to be useful in one case or another. It really is just down to what car is more useful in more situations than the other. But that's it, man. That's the series. Where do we go from here? I have a lot of plans. I have a fantastic series planned, but I don't want to release it until the new update comes. The problem is, you know, Hudge has been dragging out the new update, what it feels like, for months and weeks, and I really don't know when it's going to happen. So if I really run out of content, I might get that series out early, but I'm really hoping for the new update just because I can add the new cars into that series. So stick around for that. Really good plans coming up, but that's going to be it. Once again, thank you to Korn for this amazing idea, and I hope you guys enjoyed this series. Thank you for joining me on the journey. If you want to watch any of the older videos, I will make a playlist. In fact, I already have. I'll have the link in the description below where you can see every single episode in the series. Once again, for all of those asking, I am not making a video for Commons. I'm sorry. I hate commons. I really do. And honestly, like, I can't even tell you what are the best RQ10 commons in the game. Like, Ford EXP, and then my mind draws a blank. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. We're gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.